What is going on, everybody? WeedleTwineedle here, and we are back again with an Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon Wi-Fi battle, and this one's going to be an overused tier battle. Hooray! Versus Roger, somebody I battle off of Discord. Now, today I'm using a mono Sinnoh regional theme team. Of course, using some Pokemon from the Sinnoh region that you don't really see. Staraptor is permanently borderline, unfortunately. Ever since Gen 4, honestly. Like, ever since its release, it's just been in a borderline tier, which is just depressing. I'm also using Electivire because it used to be in Gen 4 overused, but now it's in the depths of PU. But yeah, let's just hop right into this battle against my opponent, Roger. It's actually a pretty good Wi-Fi battle, and my opponent's team was pretty threatening, if I do say so myself. So I'm going to be leading off with my Bananas, my Infernape, because I'm expecting my opponent to want to lead off with pretty much anything. Infernape hits pretty much everything on his team for neutral damage, because mixed Infernape hits pretty hard. It's hard to switch into. So my opponent ends up leading up with Magearna. I'm not too sure what he was predicting exactly, but I'm able to lead off with my Infernape. Now my opponent's going to swap into Gyarados to pivot into the Fire type attack. I'm just going to play it safe on the first turn, click Overheat, see if my opponent wants to play around my Pokemon, and Overheat actually gets a critical hit. Unfortunately for my opponent, the Overheat crit does weaken his Gyarados a lot more than he probably wanted, but I mean, not much I can do about that. I do have the Thunder Punch on my Infernape, and I'm not too sure if like the Shrimpinator is like a name trying to bait that he's Mega Gyarados, or if he's actually like a regular Gyarados, so still going to play it safe this turn. I'm going to go for the Thunder Punch, as my opponent's going to get me up with a double Intimidate, so I'm like, okay, I mean, there's no way I'm touching this Landorus T, so I'm expecting Stealth Rocks, or U-Turn, or Earthquake, or pretty much anything, so I bring in my Torterra. If my opponent goes for Supersonic Sky Strike, then well, so be it, I guess. My opponent is going to lay up the Stealth Rocks, and that's kind of annoying for my team, because I have no Staraptor and Drifblim, but my opponent doesn't appreciate Stealth Rocks himself because he has a Volcarona, so my opponent's going to hit me with a Hidden Power Ice. Do very little damage. Unfortunately, I'm not Weakness Policy on this Torterra. I'm actually max Special Defense, max HP. At this point, I wish I was Weakness Policy on the Torterra because a Hidden Power Ice did nothing. But yeah, my opponent's gonna go for the U-turn here against my Torterra and just get out of here because I laid up Stealth Rocks and my opponent has Volcarona. She has a Zapdos, and she has Pokemon that don't really appreciate Stealth Rocks, kind of like my team as well, so she's actually going to bring in her Zapdos here. I'm going to assume this thing has Defog if Landorus T doesn't. Landorus T is revealed U-turn, Hidden Power Ice, and Stealth Rocks. I'm assuming its last move is Earthquake. I'm actually going to go for the Light Screen, or the Reflect here, because I wanted to get at the screen so I could take hits a little better with my team. And, Torterra gets dual screens for some reason, which is pretty cool. But now my opponent's going to go for the Hidden Power Ice, except it's not Hidden Power Ice. My opponent misgened the Zapdos. I know, that's the downside of genning. You actually, like, can make mistakes and stuff. Now, if you're actually like me and hunted for your Zapdos for like 3 hours straight until you got Hidden Power Ace, you wouldn't have this issue, but alas, not everyone is a legit player like me. But I'm going to switch out of my Torterra here because I want to save it as Death Fodder. I'm assuming my opponent's probably going to go for Heat Wave here if he has it, so I'm going to bring in Empoleon here as my opponent chooses to go for Defog, which, I was half predicting. That's what I thought Zapdos was going to do originally, but, we're able to bring in Empoleon on the Defog, get +2 in our attack from Defiant, and yeah, my opponent, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to hit me with the freaking Volt Switch, or Thunderbolt, and yeah, all our hazards are gone, so all the progress we made in the past like 3 to 4 turns, it's just been, nullified because Zapdos is Defog. Pretty funny, but I'm going to switch out here. I know my opponent's probably going to go for Thunderbolt, and I don't think Empoleon can take it, so I'm going to bring in my Electivire, and I see he's actually Volt Switch, which is pretty good to know because that means he most likely doesn't carry Thunderbolt or like a stronger electric type attack. Volt Switch is rather weak even with Stab, so we're able to get the Motor Drive boost thankfully because I figured my opponent was going to go for the electric type attack against Empoleon at +2. So my opponent's going to bring in the Magearna here as I actually choose to go for the Electric Terrain because I'm actually a Z Electric Terrain Electivire because I wanted to see the potential of it and the overused here. So we're able to set up Electric Terrain, and my opponent is actually going to try to bait out the electric type attack. Very smart play because, an electric type attack from Electivire and Electric Terrain is very powerful, so she's going to bring in the Landorus T. However, I saw right through that. I'm actually make a pretty good prediction, go for the Ice Punch into this big Landorus T, do around half health to it, so that means it's going to be a 2-hit KO, take some Rocky Helmet damage, and now my opponent, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking he's most likely going to want to preserve his Landorus T for more Intimidate stacking and for fodder, so I decided to go for my Electric Z move instead, expecting him to want to switch out into anything really. I wasn't sure into what, but in comes the Magearna, and I'm able to go for the Electric Z move and Electric Terrain, which is going to hit extremely hard despite the fact I am at -1 attack. So I'm going to go for the Gigavolt Havoc and just launch the electricity at this Magearna. Hopefully we can knock this thing out because it is an Electric Terrain stab. Pretty powerful attack, but Magearna is pretty bulky, it's able to live, though that could be because we were intimidated. Regardless though, I'm gonna just go for the Earthquake here to knock out the Magearna, and this Pokemon is no longer an issue for my team. So hey, I mean, Electivire was able to deal with Magearna and, you know, weaken Landorus T, so I say it's carried its way for sure. So down goes the Magearna to the Earthquake, and my opponent is going to bring in Land on my Dig again, the Landorus T. And I could just go for Ice Punch and knock this out most likely, but at the same time, I am at -2 attack, so I don't want to risk my Electivire dying to an Earthquake. So I'm going to pull a Hard Switch into my Drifblim, anticipating my opponent to want to go for Stealth Rocks again as well. So I bring in my Drifblim here, and predicting pretty much anything besides knockoff, and my opponent does go for the Earthquake, thankfully, so we're able to pivot into that correctly. And now we have Unburden activated because we did activate the Electric Seed. Now I'm going to choose to go for the Calm Mind because I'm actually Calm Mind with the Unburden and Electric Seed, because, you know, get nice mixed defense boosts and you get the speed increase. Pretty good. It's actually a pretty common strategy in VGC from what I've seen. I haven't really watched many VGC battles, but I've seen Drifblim used in VGC because of the Unburden and Tailwind and stuff, so it's pretty useful. But my opponent's going to U-turn out and bring in the OP Jellyfish, his Nihilego, and I'm just like, okay, well, I can go for the +1 Shadow Ball, gauge damage on this thing, and go from there. I'm gonna go for the Shadow Ball, and it does absolutely nothing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot how bulky Nihilego is on the special defensive side. But we're able to tank a Power Gem thanks to our Calm Mind, and I'm actually going to reveal my last move, which is going to be Destiny Bond. It's actually not my last move. My other move is Thunderbolt. I haven't revealed Thunderbolt. But yeah, I'm gonna go for Destiny Bond because I'm like, I may as well just trade 1 for 1 if I can't actually beat this Nihilego 1v1. So yeah, we're gonna trade 1 for 1 with Drifblim against Nihilego. So at the very least, you know, Drifblim took down 1 Pokemon. So hey, it carried its weight. It did better than I thought it would do. So down goes Nihilego, and Drifblim's able to kill something. Not bad. My opponent's gonna bring in Landorus Therian form here, as I'm gonna choose to bring in my Empoleon, my Fappy Heat. Now, the main reason why I did that is because of Intimidate. It can activate Defiant, and it can make my opponent like be stressed, like, oh wow, this Empoleon's at +1 attack, I better be afraid. And I'm not sure if Landorus T outspeeds me or not, because I am Jolly Max Speed and he's likely max defense, max HP, or some sort of EV spread like that. Liquidation's actually able to one-shot Landorus Therian form, which is very good from that range of health. Down goes Landorus T, so you don't have to worry about that Pokemon being a threat anymore. Now my opponent's gonna bring in the Zapdos yet again. Now I'm not too sure if he's gonna predict my switch into Electivire or not, but either way, I'm gonna decide to stay in here as my opponent decides to go for Volt Switch. I'm hoping that my Empoleon can live Volt Switch, as thankfully Empoleon's Base Bolt comes through. We're able to live
and activate our weakness policy.
And yes, so now we are at +3 attack, +2 special attack, and, you know, we're looking pretty threatening right now. My opponent's gonna bring in Volcarona, as I actually go for the agility because I wanted to increase my speed after increasing my offenses. So now we're at +3 attack, +2 special attack, and +2 speed. So we should be able to outspeed Volcarona and knock him out with Power Trip, because I don't know why Game Freak gave Empoleon, of all things, Power Trip. Seems like the most random Pokemon to get Power Trip because it's not really a physical attacker, but I guess they wanted to make its like hidden ability to actually have use. That's like my own, like, that. Why else would they give it Power Trip? It makes no freaking sense, dude. But yeah, Power Trip, I'm hoping I can knock out the Zapdos, but we're unable to knock out Zapdos, unfortunately. If I went for Liquidation, it may have knocked him out, but I wanted to go for Power Trip anyway because it's a funny move. So down goes Empoleon to the Volt Switch, unfortunately, but hey, we're able to weaken Zapdos, so I'd say Empoleon did its job. My opponent's gonna bring in the Gyarados here, as now I can finally bring in Borderline forever, the Staraptor, because Staraptor has always been in a Borderline tier throughout the entire, like, Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7, like, every time it's BL. I don't know why. They should just suspect test it and underused. They definitely should, like, even if it's, like, a little strong, like, come on, like, there's Scizor, there's Latias, so you're telling me that Staraptor, of all things, should be Borderline? Come on, Yu. Come on, you should definitely suspect test it and give it a shot at least. Anyway, Gyarados is going to go down to the Double Edge, and, you know, we do have Reckless Double Edge, so we're able to hurt stuff pretty hard. My opponent's going to bring in the Zapdos here, activate Pressure, but at this point, Staraptor will be able to clean up the game with Choice Scarf Double Edge. And yeah, so Staraptor is able to do something in the end of the game. I didn't get to see the potential of wall breaking, you know, the wall breaking potential, rather, of Staraptor, unfortunately. But hey, we're able to clean up the battle and defeat Roger with a 4-0 victory. So not the closest battle, I do apologize for that, but it was like the one battle I got with this team, and I'm not gonna like look for more battles when this battle is, you know, reasonable enough to post. I got to showcase every one of my mons for the most part, so I'm not really complaining about this battle. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this Wi-Fi battle against Roger and really want to support my channel, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button, as it really helps out my channel a lot more than you think, and it's always appreciated. Anyways, the question of the day is going to be, which Pokemon from the Sinnoh region are your personal favorite, or favorites if you can't decide on one, out of the whole Sinnoh regional dex? Let me know in the comments down below which Pokemon from the Sinnoh region like stuck with you the most and you just like and enjoy the most out of the Sinnoh regional dex. Pretty simple question, and we're like following the theme of the uploads this week. Now, my personal favorite Pokemon from Gen 4, I can't really decide honestly. I'm just gonna list like all the Pokemon that like have evolved from previous generations, like Rhydon and a Rhyperior, Piloswine and a Mamoswine, like Roselia and a Roserade. There's so many, Tangela and a Tangrowth, Lickitung and a Licky, Magmar and a Magmortar, Togetic and a Togekiss, Electabuzz and an Electivire. There's so many, Sneasel and a Weavile, like oh my gosh dude, there's so many evolutions they expanded upon, and honestly I think that's the best thing Gen 4 did, was introduce like a lot of previous gen Pokemon evolutions that made them like a lot more viable. And I don't know man, I just loved how Gen 4 did that, and no other generation since has been that brave when it comes to giving Pokemon evolutions. Like we have Sylveon in Gen 6, Gen 2 we had Steelix and Scizor, so I guess you're like experimenting with new gen evolutions. And I guess Porygon 2 as well, if you want to count that. And like overall, like Gen 4 like added so many new evolutions to the game, and it's just like I love all of them honestly. Like I can't pick a favorite, but there's just so many of them to list, and that's honestly my favorite part about the Gen 4 Pokedex. So that's gonna be my favorite Pokemon from Generation 4. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end of the video. I'll check you guys next time. Bye.